Painting students, our next project is going to be called a vector composition. You're going to be choosing one color from the color wheel, and that will be your mother color. That will be the color that the whole thing is based off of. And you can see in mine, and it's not finished yet, but you can see in mine it is going to be a red-violet color is going to be the main color in my composition, and we're going to make lighter and darker versions of that to create a three-dimensional image. Okay, so the first point that we have to get into is how to set up this composition. Okay, so you're going to need a ruler, you're going to need a 10-inch by 10-inch piece of illustration board, and for remote students that should be in your pack, and if you're in class I will be able to walk you through this as you make it, but this is to serve as kind of a tutorial to help you begin this process or to review it if you're unsure as to how this works. Okay, so most of it is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to kind of just set this up and do this along with you. So, like I said, this is 10 inches by 10 inches, so the first thing I want to do is, it was cut on a paper cutter, so it might not be exact, but I'm going to try to estimate the best I can. So I'm going to make a mark at the 5-inch point at the width at the top. I'm also going to slide my ruler down and make another mark at the 5-inch point on the bottom. And I'm going to connect those dots to create a line that goes equally through the board. I'm going to do the same thing to the side, so I'm going to spin this around at the 5-inch mark, again at the 5-inch mark, and I'm going to connect those dots. Okay, the next part requires no measurement. I'm just going to take the point that I created at the top and the point that I created at the side and connect those to basically split these squares into triangles. So I'm going to spin that around. You can see how that one worked out. We're going to do that to all 4 sides. All 4 squares are going to now turn into sets of 2 triangles. Take your time and make sure that you're doing this well. Okay, I've been doing this kind of thing for a long time, so it doesn't take me quite as long, but just make sure that both sides of the roll are lined up. So right now what you have is you have it divided into 4 quadrants, but then those 4 quadrants are divided in half diagonally to create a diamond in the middle of the board. Okay, the next part is the most complicated part of the composition. Basically what we're trying to do is create this little line here, which is an inch and 3/4, and this little line here, which is an inch and 3/4, but not draw the line in between. So we just drew this line. We're not going to just draw an X. We're not going to just draw a diagonal in between. We're going to set the ruler up and we're going to connect these 2 points, but when we hit 1 3/4, we're going to stop, and then we're going to pick up again at 5.5 inches to 7 inches, and we're going to stop, and that's going to give us our 1 3/4, and you'll see kind of how it works out. It's going to be not exact, but it's going to be close. So I'm lining this up, and if you even want to draw right on the ruler, you know, this is the 1.5 mark, the 1 3/4 mark is right there. So I'm just going to make a little dot there, and I'm going to connect that 1 3/4 to the edge. And this can be, actually 5 1/4 makes more sense. 5 1/4 to 7 would also be 1 3/4. Okay, so you can kind of see how I had the ruler lined up with those 2 points, but I just didn't extend the line the whole way through. Okay, and you'll see in a minute why this is important. So again, at the 1 3/4 mark and at the 5 1/4 mark, and you could even draw that right on your ruler if you want, so that you can just easily do that again. So I'm just going to go ahead and line this up again from corner to center. At the 1 3/4 mark, I'm going to extend that to that first corner, and then from the 5 1/4 mark to the 7-inch mark in the center. Okay, so you can see I did that again. I left this part blank in the middle, so I'm just going to quickly go and do the last 2. So the corner to the 1 3/4 mark, the 5 1/4 mark to the 7 in the middle, and one last one, lining up the corner with the center again, the corner to the 1 3/4 mark, and the 5 1/4 mark to the 7-inch. Okay, and so it's not perfect, but it's close. That's good enough for what we're doing. So at this point, we're basically taking that line we just made and we're connecting that to our previously made halfway 5-inch marks that were on the sides. Okay, so you'll kind of see where I stop drawing this line, it's going to connect to that dot, and when I stop drawing this line here, it's going to connect to that dot, and that's going to give me a couple triangles. show you kind of up close in the first one what that looks like, okay? So I just drew this line and this line, and when connected with that, now I have to do it the other side. I know you probably understand how to do this at this point, but this is good review for folks that are maybe struggling with this. So each corner should look like this at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. Now, I know this is kind of boring, but at least watching it done more than once, I think, will be helpful. I'm just spinning this around and connecting those points. So I have 2 more to go. Okay, so this was the end goal. Okay, you can see I connected all those lines from the corner to where that 1 3/4 mark was on every side, and so we're pretty much ready to paint. I just got to fix up a couple of the little marks where they line up to make those as perfect as I can. And so the next stage of the game is to choose the main color for this composition. We're calling it the mother color, okay, and the reason we're calling it that is that's the color all the other shades and tints are going to come from. And then we'll be adding white to it to get the lighter versions, but we'll also be adding its complement or opposite color to get some of the darker versions. So more to come on that.